Here it is. All right. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Okay. All right, so we were having such a good conversation before we go on air that I wanted to let you all be privy to this. So we were talking about being an entrepreneur, and I was saying that I have an entrepreneurial spirit, but I'm not really sure I have it. Like I have the oomph, but I think it's funny because I just know that things work better. It's like two heads are better than one, and where I am not good at certain things, it's almost like I need a partner to help me with that other stuff. And this is going to sound sort of I don't mean this to sound the way it is, but like when it comes to say the radio and the speaking and all that stuff, I'm the talent. Like that's what I do. I'm not.
You're the voice.
Yeah, I'm not really good at the
behind
sales,
the scenes stuff.
the sales. I'm great at social media and marketing and all of that, as long as it's written, whatnot, or I'm speaking and all that stuff. However, when it comes to sales or selling, a product, I'm not good.
Without Steve, Apple would have not happened.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
So
Because you had Steve Jobs, who needed Steve Wozniak, and Steve Wozniak needed Steve Jobs. So without either Steve, Apple never happened.
See, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know if I'm almost like I would like to get somebody to partner with me and form a company.
And it's good that we're talking to this on live because someone's going to listen to this. I can be Steph's entrepreneurial soulmate.
Yeah, that's what I need, because I get sort of stuck, and because of my own, sometimes your gifts are your problems too.
Right.
And so I get sort of stuck in stuff.
Gifts are like the moon. There's the side that everyone sees, then there's the dark side of the moon that no one sees.
Right.
And even sometimes the people don't see, right?
Right.
But every gift has a dark side, as I like to say.
Right. So so I sort of get, and because I'm also very connected emotionally and spiritually to people in the world, I can get sort of stunted in what I'm doing because I'm sort of hung up in what's going on. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You've got a lot of energy.
I have a lot of energy, yes. I have a lot of spiritual, yes.
So
Hi, Sandra.
Hey.
This is Mark Myette. Hi, Mary. How are you? Oh, you're like me? Okay, well then you can't be my partner. I mean, I love you, but I need somebody who's not like me. Hi, Carl. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Whitney. How are you, honey? How's that matchmaking going? She's a matchmaker here, a local matchmaker.
Oh,
Whitney
awesome.
Is, yes. She's a local matchmaker. She's adorable, too. And smart, very young, smart. And talk about energy. Great energy.
She probably has some of your gifts of being very intuitive and can look at somebody's eyes and really see what's behind them.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't want to see stuff. I'm just saying.
Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, well, I'm like, I didn't ask for this.
Right.
It's just given.
Right.
So I'm excited because we're going to talk about the gifts and strengths, and because I love this stuff, and I think that
you're living it.
I do live it. I do live it, and sometimes it's a little hard, for the gifts that I have.
Yeah.
It's hard because I see things that nobody else can see, and I know things that people don't know.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard.
You're like the character in The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, I see dead people. Yeah.
And there's a lot of dead people out there.
There are
emotionally,
yes.
They're just walking.
You know what? You're right.
They're just walking around. They're zombies.
Or they're miserable and they're unhappy, and you can just see
they're
that.
They're just going through the motions.
So they are, and it's sad. It's sad because life is meant to be lived. It's supposed to be an experience. It's not a spectator sport.
Right. I agree.
So we have a lot to talk about today.
We sure do.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we're going to go live in about 10 minutes, but I wanted
awesome.
So I wanted you all to be part of this.
So you're streaming this live on Facebook.
On Facebook. Now this one's going to be Instagram, but they only allow 60 minutes. So we'll wait on that. Then whatever. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't get
Which
it.
is my good side? This side or is it this side? You can tell I have a voice, I have a face for radio.
Oh my gosh! Stop it! Stop it! Oh my gosh!
So we'll be there for the 4th. So we'll be.
Oh, in Boston.
Yeah, we're gonna be in the Esplanade.
Nice.
Yeah. So we
I have to ask you before we go really super live. What happened to your accent?
I never had one.
Really?
I never had
Was
a
that
Boston.
because you were from Beacon Hill?
Well, the funny thing is, I've got a dear uncle who raised me who's 94.
Right.
I speak to him every day.
Right.
His accent is as heavy as you want. I call him every day and he's like, Mark, how are you?
Right.
How you has it? And he's like deep Boston accent. And I just never acquired one. And you know my story. I mean, I went to school in the
Right.
North End for
Right.
8 years, and then
With all my friends.
yes, in East Boston for 4 years.
Right.
So I was surrounded by
You went to
Italian.
Savio?
Savio.
Oh my gosh! You
Oh
went to
my
Savio!
God!
East Boston. Right
Savio.
here. East Boston
Yeah.
in the house.
So when I see like Goodfellas, it's like, and I share it with my wife's
Yeah.
watching, who grew up in Arkansas. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you see these? These are the folks I went to school with.
Oh yeah, I know them. In fact, I'm related to them. They're my family. Yeah, everybody's connected. So yeah.
So no
I
accent.
actually ate lunch yesterday in East Boston on the way to the airport.
Oh, where'd you eat?
You know, it was called Angela's Cafe. It was actually a Mexican restaurant because I wanted Mexican, and because we were trying to get close to the
In East
airport.
Boston?
In East
Wow.
Boston, and it was
How'd
awesome.
they let that happen?
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. Well, you know, I went to the Italian Express back in December in East Boston, and it was Guy Fieri had gone there with Mayor Menino.
Mm.
The food was unreal. It was so good. Yeah, it was so good.
Oh, so we used to do our hockey banquets and baseball banquets at Lombardi's or Lombardo's.
That's where I had my wedding.
Yeah. Oh,
My
Lombardo's
marriage.
in East Boston.
When I was married. Yeah.
Right near the tunnel.
Right near the tunnel, that's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh, crazy. So Whitney Miller says she's going great and she's spreading love. Good. Yeah, that's the way to be.
Hey, man, it's better to spread love than the other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Life's too short.
I know. What is wrong with people sometimes? They talk about, everything's negative.
I know. I mean, it's just really bad.
So.
Our society as a whole is going through an evolutionary period, and I think eventually we will catch up, and people will catch up and realize we're better served to be just good citizens, and tolerant of each other,
Yeah, and or nitpicking about everybody and so
Yeah.
much drama. And I'm like 50 years old, and I said, what is up with this drama?
Well, if
And I stay away from it. I
If
go, I
you
don't want to
ask-
hear it. La la la.
well,
la.
if you ask your parents or your aunts and uncles, I mean, and you look at like the media then, which was the newspapers, right? You can see it was pretty glaring, like especially around elections. I mean, they, Abraham Lincoln gets absolute, parodied in the press all the time, with his folks that just didn't like him.
Right.
So there's always been this
Well, people
double-edged
are
sword.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
Times change, people don't, right?
I think what exacerbates it is Facebook,
Social media.
CNN, just the immediacy of someone's opinion. It goes viral.
Right.
And before we had all this stuff, somebody could have said something in, whatever, Arkansas and Boston, and no one would have said
No
anything.
one would know.
The police, unfortunately, in some ways, it's been a good thing in that people become more aware that there's probably challenges in law enforcement that they have been kind of swept under the rug.
Right.
Where it's like, all right, so there's been a plus to that, but it's brought
Well, like
aside.
we said, all the pluses have,
Dark sides.
have a dark side. It's a dark side.
Yes.
That's,
I'll drink to that.
I should have played that from one of my songs, Bruce Springsteen's The Dark Side. But maybe next time, maybe next week. But there's, I sat on a media panel back a couple weeks ago in Boston. We got 5 minutes. And so, you know what, I'm going to actually,
Yes.
I'm going to shut the door. I sat on a media panel with, Janet Wu from Boston. She's a reporter.
Which outlet?
You know what, she's television.
Okay.
But anyway, there were very influential women on this panel from
Yep.
Boston, like Boston Herald, blah, 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 a couple of radio girls, Janet Wu, and they brought up the whole Facebook thing, and they all, struggled with being popular or being out there and maybe not airing so much of their personal stuff and blah, blah, blah. And when I said, well, I have a little different opinion of it, because if I can keep it to be business or whatever, I'm using it to promote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using it for my good to get to, so there's a very good side to, you can reach far more people,
Mm-hmm.
Using social media, and it's a good thing, but then it gets abused,
Mm-hmm.
and people are mean-spirited, and that's the biggest problem,
Yeah.
or
Right.
they're airing their dirty laundry on Facebook.
Right.
All right, I know everything has to be, should be real and not like fairy tale, but personal data should not be out in the public.
Mm-hmm.
Just even to protect the people that love you,
Mm-hmm.
or that are involved or whatever, like my kids.
Yep.
You got to protect your kids.
Right.
You got to, how would they like it if somebody called them up and said, why is your mom so miserable?
Right.
Or whatever.
Right. Yep.
And I didn't have a conversation with them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's all hearsay, or it's like
Right.
second-hand information.
Right.
We just watched the part of the Michael Jackson. It was one of those docudramas, but it was based on the real life experiences of his bodyguards.
Right.
So it was Michael Jackson's last days as evidence, as witnessed by his bodyguards. So it was their testimony, if you will. And Michael was exceedingly protective of his kids. I mean,
Right.
as you might recall, where they wore masks or they wore hoods, and I mean, because he knew what it was doing to him, right?
Right.
So, do I need to put this headset on?
Yes. Let's
Awesome.
make sure you can hear.
Oh,
Okay, we got 2 minutes. All right, so.
Mickey.
There we go. I know the Musketeers.
I've got the ears on.
He's dating himself.
Mouse.
Okay, kids, we're going live. Let me get my stuff on. Okay. That was a good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Trish. How you doing, baby? So, all right. See, it's kind of fun. We can see,
Yeah, you can
I
see
can
the
see
feeds, what's happening.
Yeah, it's nice.
Is Katie Carpola,
She's coming next
DK,
week.
is she like, I call her DK, Dr. No.
You know what? She and I share a lot of the same gifts.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's why I said, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you met.
yeah.
You're going to continue the dialogue?
Yeah, I mean, she's going to come here next week, and yeah, we've talked
Good.
a little bit. So,
Good.
She didn't. I asked a couple of questions, but it was actually kind of a dialogue.
Yeah.
It was great. So, I like her a lot.
Right.
She's a great girl,
Yeah.
great lady.
If anything, it's going to be a relationship that you'll establish and get to know her.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. So may do some sort of a retreat on getting clarity that I may do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but she told me she didn't think I should get those certifications.
Yeah.
She said, don't do it yet.
Because.
I need to make positive cash flow
Yep.
before I go do that.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
So, here we go, kids. Ooh, girl, you shine like a Fifth Avenue diamond. They don't make you like they used to. Never going out of style.
This is the Just Steph Show. I'm your host, Steph Palermo, your Italian boss in your move south, who shows you how to enjoy life.
right here on Love 860.
Every Thursday, 11 a.m. until noon. Tune in weekly for tips on enhancing your life by balancing body, mind, and heart. And featuring
Living Atlanta.
find out where to go this weekend.
Steffi, you're so classic. Hey, this is Steph Palermo, and it's the Just Steph Show. Everybody has two lives. The second one begins when you realize you only have one. We are second lifers. We're empty nesters, newly single, and those starting over. Age 3, your healthy, happy, hip years are just beginning. The bat phone is connected, so give me a buzz to chat today, 404-355-8699. Tell me what's going on in your life. I want to hear from you, and also you can message us on Facebook. And I'm so excited, Mark Myette, author of Wantrepreneur. Do you have what it takes to be an entrepreneur? Welcome to summer, June 1st, right?
Isn't that awesome, Steph? Thanks
love
for
it.
having me.
I know, I love it. I'm glad you're here because I'm taking the entire month and dealing with, entrepreneurs and people
Or
who
wantrepreneur.
entrepreneurs and talking about gifts and talents and making things happen in your life. And I think it's important. I mean, I'm 50, so we talked about this at your breakfast that
She
you had.
doesn't look 50.
No, of course not. Yay. I'm 50, and so, but, I had life changes.
Yeah.
And I needed to get a job and start working, and I still have kids, at least now one. Last one's still, the last one the third one went off, graduated last week, and so now I just have the one little guy, my little 12-year-old. But, so that's important to me to be be available.
Yes.
So how do I be available for my son, do what I love, and, and make money at it?
Yep. Yep.
And so to me, that means, okay, start your business.
Yeah.
Do something.
Or it's something. I've got a website called whatareyourgifts.com, and in one of the blogs I wrote was topic of career polygamy. Career polygamy, and it's all about having multiple streams of income.
Right.
So some people it might be, some people are really surprised to know that we're almost at a majority of all the workers in our economy, which is about 155 million workers.
Right.
About half of them are 1099s.
Right. So they contract.
Yeah.
They contract.
And so we're only going to see, and we're going to see that it continue to exacerbate
Right.
now. So what that means is that if I'm a 1099, then you know what? I'll spend so many hours a week doing this. Then I'll spend so many hours doing that.
Right.
And I'll spend so many hours doing the other thing. So it's like an investment strategy.
Right.
They'll multiple streams of income coming in.
Well, I see. There we go. So.
Bingo.
All right. So, well, before we get into all of that,
Yes.
There's lots of stuff going on with me. I'm a podcast on iTunes, and also, which is great. You never have to miss anything. And then I'm also at my website has a calendar, Living Atlanta, and you can find out anything you need to know about what's going on in and around Atlanta for all your fun, events for basically our age group.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not putting stuff up there that's for like the 20-somethings.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the stuff, the wine specials at Davio's or, things like that, the things that the shows, the 80s music that's going on around town. So all of that is it's juststeph.com/Living Atlanta. So what did you do this weekend? It was Memorial Weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. So we went up to North Georgia. So it's great if you're familiar with North Georgia. Have you ever been up to Lake Raven or Lake Burton?
Yeah, I think I have. I think I was on Lake Burton.
All right, Lake
Yes.
Burton's the bigger version of Lake Raven.
Uh-huh.
That area is kind of like if you go to Colorado, they'll refer to Ouray as Switzerland of America.
Right.
But in some ways, Lake Raven's kind of that way too. So we spent the good part of the weekend up at Lake Raven, which is awesome. It's an Army Corps lake. It has the highest concentration of Chris Craft motorboats in the country. You know what a Chris Craft is?
No.
It's the ones with the inboard engines, and they've got that really fine mahogany finish, and they're finely lacquered. If you ever watch On Golden Pond,
Right.
you'll see like that boat that it was in is like all wooden boat. with the inboard engine.
Okay.
The automobile engines that are literally the inboard engine. They
Right.
use automobile engines.
Right.
It's the highest concentration of those boats in the country.
No, but that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
North Georgia, huh?
North Georgia. And it's a great thing, it's 90 minutes from Atlanta.
There you go.
So, and the great thing also is that you'll be up there 90 minutes away and it's 10 degrees cooler.
Nice.
So,
So you were hanging on the lake.
hanging on the lake.
Nice, with the fam. I was in Boston this weekend.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it was great. I
What part?
North Shore, baby. I was in the North Shore. But no, you know what? My son graduated from high school on Thursday, and then Friday, I drove my mom up to Boston. So I drove her because she wants her car up there.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah, I was driving Miss Daisy. It was very interesting. But no, we did great. We didn't even fight. You know, it worked out. So and I did well with the driving and was in Peabody at 10 a.m. Saturday morning after leaving 6 a.m. Friday.
That is awesome.
And that's with the stayover and a cocktail.
Yes, that's very
yeah.
good.
So that was good. And then, but I was all over the North Shore, on all weekend. I was up at Market Street in Linfield, at Gaslight and King's up there, and I barbecue. I went to the movies,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Ate and, I met my high school friend Jeff, my BFF over there and went to the 99. We just hung out, did all my things, saw my family, that kind of stuff. So it was really super
Well,
fun.
you get concentrations up north, and then you've got concentrations of family or friends here in
Right.
Atlanta,
Right.
in the Atlanta area.
Oh
So-
yeah, no, the difference between Boston and Atlanta is when you grow up and you have your friends, they're so much like you,
Mhm.
because everybody's raised so, so similarly
Yeah.
that your family, it's sort of a meld of family and friends.
Mhm.
My friends know my family know my, it's not like here where it's separate.
Yeah.
So, it's different, but.
I'd be curious, especially now, to see the demographic of the North End, right, where you and I grew up.
Right.
Right? And see how that's changed, because when you and I grew up, everybody knew everybody.
Right, everybody
And-
was Italian too,
Yeah,
or Sicilian.
Yeah, and if you did something bad as a kid, everybody, your parents already knew about it by the time you got home.
Yeah, I think there's a big, the people my age moved out to raise families.
Yeah.
But what's funny is my mom's friends, all after moving out and raising their families, are all going back.
Hmm.
So all of that age group is going back, and they're enjoying the city life.
Yeah.
What they had to leave.
Yeah.
To raise their families. So, but a lot of my friends are gone.
Hmm.
They're not in the city, and I
Yep.
see them, once a year on the feast.
Mhm.
So.
Which feast?
Madonna della Cava.
Okay, because there's a number of feasts.
Well, my family has is Madonna del Soccorso, which is the fisherman's feast from Sciacca, Sicily, and my other one was Saint Joseph from Riese in Catanizetta in Sicily. But the bigger feast that my extended family is part of is Madonna della Cava, and I've been going for years, and I love it.
And is that because your lineage is in that particular?
What happened was, and this is back in the day, back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, when the immigrants came from Sicily or even the other parts of Italy, they brought with them all their traditions. And so, like you see when you watch The Godfather or some of the, I don't know what some of the shows that have the feast in New York, what happens is so there's a patron saint of every little town, not every, but for the most part. So the people that came from Riese, where my family's from, were devoted to St. Joseph. And there's actually a church there.
Mm-hmm. St. Joseph's.
St. Joseph's.
Yeah.
I went there, and I
it's
met
going,
my family. It's
and
still
it's
there.
going through a major renovation or something.
Well, Riese is like a ghost town. It's unbelievable. But even in Sciacca, where Madonna del Soccorso is her home, is there. They do the same traditions with the saint. They walk the saint around the street. They do the same thing, and it's all about the fishermen and asking Mary to bless the fleet when they go off to go fishing.
So it'll be something in that.
So but
their safety.
my family, who were fishermen from Sciacca, came and brought that same tradition, and they celebrate the saint. And so that's
It's okay. That's great because you gave me additional context. So that explains the numerous feasts that happened in the North End.
right. So it's all the it's all the different towns that
Mhm.
brought their patron saint
Yeah.
or their devotion,
Mm-hmm.
and both those feasts, Saint Joseph and Madonna del Soccorso, my great grandfathers were the were founding members.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
it it is what it is.
Yeah.
And
Now, does the East Boston celebrate have the same formal feast that the North End does, or do they go to
I
the
never
North
heard
End?
of a feast in East Boston.
Okay.
But
yeah.
that doesn't mean there isn't one.
Yeah.
I've never they come to the North End.
Yeah.
Now I know Malden does one. They
Mhm.
do St. Rocco feast, and up in Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of Sicilians up there, and
Yeah.
they do feasts there too.
Okay.
So, but East Boston, I don't remember ever there being a feast there, and I hung around in East Boston a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so enough about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody in Atlanta they learned
What,
something
you don't
new.
like us talking about the feast?
Yeah, I know, really. At least you get, gotta get a decent food. So, all right, so let's talk about, I want to talk about the strengths and I know that so this is Mark's book, Wantrepreneur, and we were talking about this before we went on
Yeah.
air, but I'd like to talk a little bit more specifically about how to recognize your gifts.
Yeah.
So because even though I'm 50, I'm having to make some changes
Yeah.
career-wise, and I'm sure that there are people, it's a little scary. Like,
Yeah.
why would anybody want to deal with me? I'm 50. You think that, but you got to move that negative out,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that there are people that hit their 40s and go, you know what, I've been doing the same thing. I've been stuck in a cubicle for so long. I really want to do what I love. I've been raising a family, and now the kids are going,
Mhm.
whatever. I want to do something I love.
Yeah.
How do they go about recognizing what they love? Because sometimes you don't even know because
Right.
you're stuck.
It's called gift spotting.
There you go. Gift spotting.
Yep, and it's interesting. I have a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old, and they are. It's interesting to watch them as they evolve because when you consider that the brain does not fully mature until your early 30s, and I'll let your listeners guess which sex matures sooner than the other one.
We know.
But it's interesting watching my own kids and how they're evolving, which gets to your question, which is everybody is a gift wrapped in flesh.
Right.
So your opportunity is to figure out what are my gifts, what am I good at, and people when they say, well, I'm not good at anything, it's like you're good at something. You're good at something. You're probably underestimate your gift in that.
Right.
Some spotting opportunities is what do you do that you enjoy naturally, that when you're not being paid, what is it that you spend your time doing?
Right.
Where do you find yourself in situations where time just like escapes? Like you had no idea that you get in this zone where time just flies and you had no idea that you just spent 2 hours in something and all of a sudden you just look up and it's 2 hours later.
Right. Could that be like sitting at the beach?
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding. I'm just I'm on beach mode. It's summer.
but in that vein, though, if it involves people, so
Right.
there's certain themes to that. Like, that's somewhat relevant because there's some people that are people,
That's
right?
me. Yeah.
Right. And so part of that is a gift. So it's like some people are more social than others. That's why we have introverts and we have extroverts, or we have something called an ambivert, somebody that can become an introvert and also be an extrovert and turn it off and on depending upon what their situation is. The other ways to spot your gifts is to really begin to figure out, what is it that you enjoy? I mean, just asking the basic questions like, what do you like? The other way to spot it is have people ask your friends, colleagues,
What am I good at?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, is that
Right.
what you?
Yeah. People that know you really well know you.
Right.
Right. And I'm sure if you ask your people that are close to you, family members, say, I'm thinking of doing something. What are your thoughts on this? Now, family are very protective of their loved ones, so you don't want to ask real strategic questions like, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing something entrepreneurial. What do you think?" Right? But it's more along the lines of, what talents do you think? If somebody were to ask you what Steph's talents are, what would you say? What are my top? What would you say my top talent is? And then just maybe leave it very specific to that, where somebody can answer that question.
You know what's interesting, sadly, God rest his soul, my uncle passed away a couple of weeks ago, and they asked me to do a reading at Mass, and I did. And I did my reading, whatever. And it was funny because you get a little nervous because I think it's more the emotional, the whole...
That's a good thing, by the way. Keeps you alert.
Right.
Yep.
And so, it's because it's an emotional. Like,
Yeah.
can I keep it together while, can I keep it together and, whatever. And so I'm reading. But I'm reading, and when I got back to my aunt's house after Mass and after everything, I had somebody who I hadn't seen in years. She actually was my hairdresser when I was a teenager, and we're all friends of you know how it is in Boston. Everybody's friends. So she said, "You have an unbelievable voice." She goes, "Your voice and you could understand. You were clear, And I said, "Well, thank God I'm on the radio, and I like to speak." So, so it kind of made me, it makes you feel good that, I said, "Whoa, that's nice."
Right.
And it doesn't, it's not like a pat on the back, like make my head blow up or whatever, but what it is it's affirmation.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I can see what, But why do you think it's important that we know our gifts?
Because it's like anything else. The more you can appreciate and understand what your gifts are, you can lean in on them, So those gifts become a talent, and those talents, if you really lean in on it, become a strength. So, for example, sports analogy, but it's appropriate. Which Olympian has the most Olympic gold medals than any other Olympian? We just had the Summer Olympics, so it's a summer Olympian. He's in the water.
Okay, he said Mark Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
Michael.
Yeah.
Michael.
So Michael Phelps.
Name.
Now there's a quote which is relevant to this topic, which is he tried baseball, he tried basketball, he played those sports, and he was never really good. But he said the quote that really resonates with this conversation says, "Once I jumped in the water, I was in a different world." And it was that zone, you feel like you're in a zone. And Michael Jordan, another good example, one of the greatest basketball players ever, right? I know we come from Boston, so we get a tremendous amount of pedigree in Boston as well.
Right.
This isn't meant to get into that Larry Bird versus Michael
Of
Jordan thing.
course, no.
But MJ tried his hand at baseball.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
And guess what?
I do remember.
He didn't become like a world-class athlete at baseball, but he zeroed in and determined what his gifts were and leaned in on them. So it's an example from a sports standpoint. So as it relates to business or relates to occupation, if you're a people person, then make sure you're in roles that involve people, either developing people, helping people, counseling people, being a resource to people.
Right.
If you don't like people, then don't be in customer service.
Right.
If you don't like people, don't put yourself in a situation where you're being surrounded by people, because then you get frustrated.
Right.
If you're really good at process, then perhaps you can be in an operations role, or you can be in a role that might not involve the people stuff, but it does involve like being a resource to the people who are the people, right? And they're making things happen. Because the people are too busy being people to worry about the details that the process people love to be focused on. So, did that make sense?
No, I mean, absolutely. And I want to actually divert a little bit to get into the Just Steph rules of dating but I want to come back to this with you after we take our break, because I want to talk about more and get your summer reading list and all of that. So I want to talk about using and recognizing your gifts in relationships. And this is dating advice for second lifers, and this is the Just Steph rules of dating.
Awesome.
Yeah. Dear future husband, here's a few things you need to know if you want to be my one and only all my life. Okay, so, I was thinking about this because I wanted it all sort of to meld together and deal with gifts, because I think I have two thoughts on this, and then I want you to sort of tell me what you think.
Yeah.
When you're okay in your own skin and you understand and accept your gifts, it's much easier to accept somebody else's gifts and their limitations, because you have limitations, or what they're not good at, and what and you can sort of be like, okay, well, that's and I think that just sort of makes for a little bit more peace. you're not nitpicking on things. And I think that happens in marriages, and I think it happens in relationships that, you know, that are long standing. But I think that it doesn't make, you just have to be comfortable in your own skin. And I think that's so important, and knowing your gifts and your talents, and knowing and actually being able to recognize those in your partners, and helping, you can help each other.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree.
How's that work in your marriage? I mean,
I've been married for 23 years
Yay.
to a Southern woman. Her name is Mary Martha, truly Southern. Thank you. And it works great because there's certain attributes that she has, there's certain attributes that I have that lend itself to the successful managing of the relationship and the family. We talked about this before we went live on the radio, which is gifts have a dark side. So there's always, you know, I call it like the moon, right? You can see the part of the moon, you always look up in the sky and see the moon, but there's always a dark side of the moon that no one sees.
right.
Gifts and talents and strengths are kind of the same way. Is that if you're not careful, what is perceived as a gift to one person ends up being a detriment or something that causes conflict in a relationship. Give you an example. If somebody's like really people-oriented, then the dark side of being people-oriented is that people that don't know you, or people that do know you, or people that know you the most, might view you as being just too people-focused. Like, you know, you just want to be everyone's friend, and you go to a networking event, and it's, you know, it's fairly superficial, and it's not deep. There's no depth to it, and you could be perceived as being superficial.
Or shallow.
Right. And people are process people, and they're just like really good at the behind the scenes stuff. They'll never make a decision when it comes time to buy the 55-inch TV, you know, because they're totally doing the research, they're analyzing stuff. So yeah, that's great that you're good in the process and you're analytical, but it can drive your loved ones crazy because you're too analytical. You overanalyze everything. So the opportunity is how do you find that happy balance?
Right, and I guess the answer to all of that is communication.
It's a key part, yeah. Verbal,
You know,
nonverbal.
Yeah, your own your communication, and also I think people are afraid to self-reflect.
Yep.
And they're afraid to look in the mirror and say, okay, yeah, I'm good at this, I'm bad at this, or whatever, I struggle with this, and that's a hard part of it. The other thought I had is I sort of just kind of looking at stuff through the years, and
Yes.
you know, when people are struggling with personal issues and they go to work, sometimes they'll bring it into work, but for the most part they go and they get their job done, and they do what they need to do. But when things are not going good at work, they bring that home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this all sort of rolls in together with knowing your strengths and being happy at work, so that it can be, you know, people are able to shut it off when they walk through walk into the office, but they're not able to shut off the office when they walk into the front door.
Interesting. Yeah. No, it's an interesting take on that because, and I don't know if there are some people that can decompartmentalize that stuff, whether it's men, you know, whether it's a man-female issue. Do you think women are better at decompartmentalizing it than men?
I think men will take work home more than women, because women. Okay, this doesn't mean that men can't do the women stuff around the house, but the natural, you know, way things go is the woman comes home and she has to cook and clean and get the kids and, you know, whatever, and get everybody, and you get into that mode. You take off the work hat and you put on the mom hat. You know, and you have to do that in order for the home to function, where a guy can come home and just be grumpy and just go into his little cave.
Right.
You know, and then, or they'll take out whatever on the other person in ways, and I don't mean in terrible ways, but just maybe they're not at their prime.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and to get
vessel.
well, and to get back to your question, which I think is an interesting observation, is that when you think about the workplace, 7 out of 10 people are disengaged, and disengaged is defined as somebody that's not excited about their role or what they do or what they're doing. So they're disengaged.
So we're talking 70%.
7 out of 10. Yeah.
Right.
2 out of 10. So 2 out of so you take the 70% that are disengaged. There's a certain subset of that disengaged group, though, that are actively disengaged.
Right.
And what that means is they wish harm in the company that they work for. They're the ones that you don't want to be serving
Customers,
serving
clients.
customers and clients, because that client is going to experience a really negative experience that will then they'll take viral on social media. So,
Right.
and only about 30% of employees or people that are working are engaged. They're excited to show up at work. So,
Which is so sad.
yeah.
You know, it really is, and I wonder where that comes from. You know, is it,
Yeah.
you know, do we get into, you know, when we go to college, do we study something we shouldn't have?
Oh yeah. I mean,
like,
oh yeah.
I know that I wish that I went to Emmanuel,
Yeah. And you know what? It's not surprising.
so that I could have
Yeah.
done production.
Well, it's not surprising that college kids, remember we were talking about the brain development? We're
Right.
sending an 18-year-old to school, and then in high school we're asking them what they want to be when they grow up.
Right.
And their brains not even halfway developed. So they're basing their decisions on a profession based on what they think they like, right? Oh, I like this, so I think I'll do that, right? So then they go to college and they're asked to choose a major, and they're like, well, looking around and say, well, I kind of like photography. I think I'll be a major in photojournalism. I like to write, so maybe I'll become a journalist. And so they base their decisions based on interest as opposed to aptitude or gifts. Now, there's certain professions that that you can tell people are gifted at, like
Right.
musicians that are going to Berkeley School of Music in Boston, right? But that are really gifted at music. So they've got a gift. So it's easier for them to channel that and focus.
Well, and I think across the board too. I mean, even if you're a teacher, there's
Right.
teachers that that those are the ones. You know, they're awesome. They have the gifts.
You know, the one thing I will say, Steph, just to kind of put this in a bow, is that, and I'm really sensitive to this now because I'm in my own personal fourth quarter of my
Right.
professional journey. If you break your profession down into quarters, you will spend 80,000 hours in your career. So to expect someone that's going to college to stay in the same field for 80,000 hours, that's 40 years.
Right.
It's not realistic. So people will generally
Like
go
back in
through,
the day, though.
Right. Yeah, back in the day, and we're not back in the day anymore.
Right.
So usually people will go through 4 to 6 career reboots. So if you think about 80,000 hours, break it into quarters, and do it 10-year increments, you'll start noticing trends. You know, when somebody leaves school, they'll do something for about 10 years, and then they'll pivot and they'll do something else. They'll do that for about 10 years, and maybe they'll pivot and they'll do something else. When you learn about people that really kind of hit their stride, like whether it's acting or becoming really successful, uber successful in business or something else, take the outliers out. But
Right.
it's generally after the first quarter. It's usually their second quarter of their professional journey that they're hitting their
Oh,
stride.
good. So I'm just a baby maker.
Yes.
That's all I am.
Well, you're a people person.
Yeah, I am. I am. But you know, I mean, I think that's you know, it's interesting, and I think also when you make career changes like that, if you already have a family,
Yeah.
that can be, or if you're in a relationship,
It's life.
It is life, but it can be struggle.
Yes.
I mean, that's we're talking about a life-changing event.
Yes.
That could be a salary cut.
Yep.
And you know, now you're having to change the way you
Yep.
you know, your standard of living. It could be a salary. I mean, I hope for everybody it's a salary increase.
Yep.
But you hope, I think more importantly than anything, is that you're working towards internal peace and balance,
Yes.
and so that and you're happy
Yep.
in that.
Yep. And there's a blog I just wrote, published it last week. It's called Making Smart Choices on Purpose. So it goes through how to make smarter choices and how to figure out how to go about that.
Well, we're going to find out all about your blog and more when we come back. So take a risk, be vulnerable, share your heart and love always. We are taking a short break. When we come back, more Mark Myette. And this one is for the birthday peeps, Bobby Garrison, Stephen Becker, and Jimmy Klauber. Happy birthday, peeps. Love you. Okay, so we have a few minutes. Okay, so let's see. Who's here? So Carl says, great topic. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Barbara Fuzziati's from the North End.
Hey!
Do you know Barbara?
No.
I think she went to St. John's. Did you go to St. John's, Barbara? Hi, Claudia. I went to high school
St.
with Claudia.
John's, yeah, 7th, 8th
Hi,
grade.
Jeff. Thank you for being there, baby. And hi, Stephanie. Let's see. And everybody else we said hi to. So, yay. All right. So that was good. That's a good conversation. I love it.
Oh yeah.
It's fun.
Well, it's fun because it's relevant. I mean, because it's still, I mean, in our demographic, depression, addiction, and suicide are epidemic right now, and it's rooted in economic despair. I mean, that's what it is, because we're going through this major gyration in our economy and in our society that people are really kind of caught off. They're caught off guard by it. It's one of the reasons why Donald Trump got elected. He got elected by the angry white males that have felt marginalized over the last number of years. They're like, screw this. You know what? That's my man. And they're going to none of this political correct shit. I'm just going to vote for Donald, you know?
Right. Because he's saying what everybody's thinking sometimes.
Maybe not, well,
Sometimes.
not what everybody's thinking.
Or at least he has the backbone to do it.
Right. Well, but he appeals to the white males that
Right.
have felt marginalized for years and years and years.
Right.
And you think about the economy and how it's evolved, a lot of the folks that are kind of really feeling economic despair are typically the white males that are now taking it home
Right.
to their families and making their families miserable. And now
Right.
their families dysfunctional.
Right.
And it's like it's a
Right.
vicious cycle we got to
Right.
get beyond.
I hope you do. My goodness.
That's why career polygamy is so important.
Right.
Career polygamy.
Yes. That's right. Career, not marital. But it's funny because my father went to BU.
Yay.
And and he used to say, when the country's run by private industry, they would be better off. And so because
as opposed to government.
right, as opposed to government, and a lot of times, like I think BU did this where they got into some school systems and tried to help turn things around
During Silber's tenure.
Yes.
Tried to go into Chelsea.
Yes.
Chelsea Public Schools.
Yeah, Chelsea is rough.
Yeah.
It's rough, but
Yeah.
they're regentrifying Chelsea as
Oh, yeah.
well. So
Well, it's kind of like ground zeros that get spreading out. But we see it in Atlanta,
Right.
Where everything's just
Right.
getting more and more developed further and further you
Right.
go out. The church I go to, First Presbyterian Church, is on Peachtree and 16th Street.
right,
Used to be in the middle of the country. When they built the church, it was in the middle of farmland.
right. Now it's all
Now it's like in the middle of Midtown Atlanta,
Right.
across from the High Museum of Art.
right.
So,
And which is interesting. But remember back in the day, I mean, nobody wanted to live in the South End.
right.
South Boston was a little rough, but now these are places
Well,
that.
not if you were Irish.
Well, yeah, but that's not for me. Okay, we're back. All right. Okay, so thank you. My gosh, that was so funny. I love that. I love the conversation that's going on behind the scenes. So it's.
And our Facebook friends
yes,
are seeing,
yes,
listening
thank God.
to it.
So, all right. So let's sort of continue the conversation.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what you offer and how people can get in touch with you and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. And we'll sort of see where all that goes.
Well, see, what I'm doing is no different than the people I serve. I'm in my fourth quarter of my professional journey. I'm 56 years old. I'm your
Right.
older brother.
Yeah.
So, but I'm highly sensitive now to how people navigate, their professional journeys. So I do one-on-one coaching. I also want to get more involved in team coaching, specifically, maybe not so much around gifts and talents, although that's relevant, but more around conflict resolution.
I love that.
Have we experienced some conflict in our societies recently?
Oh,
Yes.
my goodness.
So especially the thing is that I'm more sensitive to is because of the wiring and because of gifts and because of strengths and because we are all thumbprints, we're all different, is because of everyone's wiring and for people that exercise their gifts and talents, remember we were talking about the dark side?
Right.
If they overuse those talents and strengths, guess who are the victims of those overused talents and strengths?
Well, the people we work with
Yeah.
or live with.
The coworkers,
Right.
people you hang out with. And that causes conflict.
Right.
So where I see a huge opportunity is to work with teams that are trying to deal with or appreciate their fellow teammates' gifts, but more importantly understand that when you are under stress, because teams will be in stress, right? They'll be in a stress mode. And people react to stress differently based on their wiring. And you can actually predict how people will react to stress. You have some people that go right for the jugular and they want to work out the conflict, right? We got to work this out right now.
Right.
And somebody else is like, no, I need time. And some people just back away. Then you have others that really start to process it. So dealing with conflict is another.
Does this,
an art.
I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yes.
it sounds a lot like emotional intelligence.
Part of it, I mean, part of it is being emotionally aware and appreciative, but the other part is really, really figuring out and having people appreciate what is your anchor. You know, what are your anchors? And at the highest level, you're either our anchors are based on people, relationships.
Right.
Your anchors might be based on performance. You know, like results, making money, making a sale, doing something. They're very performance folks. And there are other folks that are very anchored in process. I just got to have everything organized. I got to have everything neat. I need to know everything. And then there's sometimes hybrids. There's a blend of each.
Right.
But the key thing is to begin to help people understand what are your anchors.
Right.
And then also appreciate what are your strengths and talents. Because when you overuse your strength and talent, because you will, that causes
I do
conflict.
all the time.
And so based on what your anchors are, that predicts how you'll react as you go through conflict. And there's 3 stages of conflict: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. At stage 1, you'll behave a certain way, and I might behave a different way at stage 1. Stage 2, it starts to elevate, moves on.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get to stage 3, because stage
Then
3,
it's
all
a
bets
brawl.
are off. All bets are off. It's like,
Right.
forget you, I'm doing it myself.
Right.
You know,
You're not
it's like,
taking anybody else into consideration.
yeah. Do we know any places in society where conflict exists today, every day? Just go to Washington, D.C.
Oh my gosh.
The Democrats don't want to talk to the Republicans. The Republicans don't want to talk
Everybody's mad.
I know.
Why is everybody so mad?
They're dealing with conflict.
But I think too, I mean, I think it happens in a...
Yeah!
Yeah, there you go.
Rumble!
You know, I think, you know what, it's a little, just kind of even going back home to Boston, and I can see sometimes that people are complacent
Mm-hmm.
and doing what they, and even if they're unhappy, they're sort of complacent in unhappiness. And when you go into a business...
Which is a tough place to be.
Right, and here's the deal. I believe everybody can change. I believe everybody can learn and grow and change if they want to.
In some ways, you want someone that's upset. Because when you get to a part of the relationship or a part of whatever the situation is, and you have somebody that's indifferent...
Oh, that's worse.
That's worse, because they don't care. Because
Right.
when you say they're complacent,
Right.
as long as
They
they're
don't
not indifferent. Because if somebody's upset or somebody's angry, then that's great. Because not that it's great that they're upset
Right,
and angry,
but you can
it's,
make some changes.
yeah, they're committed to it too much, or it's frustrating to them. They want it for whatever reason. It's not working for them.
Right.
So you have an opportunity now to figure out, how do we mitigate this? How do we resolve this?
Right.
Because obviously it's important to you. It's important to me. So let's work this out. But when somebody says, I don't care, or I'm doing it myself, and you're not involved, that's tough.
Lukewarm. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Lukewarm. See, I'm just so not a lukewarm person.
Right.
I'm like, no. You know, I think it's much better.
And your family and friends are better for it.
Yeah,
Because they'll know exactly where you stand
absolutely. Absolutely. It's Boston girl right here. So, I mean, just one quick question that I didn't get to.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you how to get me.
Okay.
Whatayourgifts.com. Just you're saying how to figure it out.
Yeah.
Whatayourgifts.com.
And they can find out all about you there and
Yeah, the blog.
and call you up
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
Email you.
Talk.
Okay,
Yep.
there you go. So I think we're sort of, for those of us that are in that fourth quarter that you're saying,
Yes.
we've seen such a big transition in business. You know, how does, being strengths-based differ from what, we saw going on in, say, the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we see, companies hired people for life.
Right.
If you wanted to stay in a role in a job and do it for life, companies would be accepting of it, and they would probably want it. Remember we were talking about the 1099s?
Right.
We're approaching a majority of workers are now 1099s. Notice
Right.
I didn't say employee.
Right.
Because employers are now looking at human capital as just that, human capital. So they do project-based work, so their model is changing. So they want to have less employees on the payroll, but they want to have more people they're okay doing contract work.
Well, it's
or having
cheaper for
contract.
them. They don't have to pay benefits.
Exactly. So the model's changed. That's why healthcare is so relevant now, because eventually healthcare benefits, as we're seeing, is going to go the way of the pension. It's going to be up to you and me to figure out our own healthcare. and that's a whole different show. But
Right.
but that's a big
Because
issue.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, what about retirement?
I know.
You know,
What
what about
about?
Social Security? What
What
about
about?
all that stuff? You know, I mean, it's going to be
The interesting-
like,
well,
it's scary.
The interesting thing is the people on both sides of the demographic, the younger millennials, and then the folks in their fourth quarter are looking to rely on Social Security.
Right.
And that's interesting because before that we were hearing that we heard a lot of chatter from the younger folks saying, I'll never have Social Security. Now there's a certain undercurrent of millennials saying, I need to have some sort of safety net or mechanism that I can rely on when I retire, because they're kind of observing what's happening to them now in the workforce.
Right.
Is that they're gig workers. They go from
Right.
job to job to job. So they're going to need some sort of financial stability.
And I would imagine there's got to be other women that are in my situation where they stayed home and raised their kids for 20 years
Yeah.
or 25 years and they have nothing,
Yes, right.
you know, and if there's a divorce, like in my case, you know, you have to sort of figure it out, like what's going to happen.
We call it returnship.
Yeah.
Not internship, but returnship,
Yeah.
where you spent 20 years, 15 years, whatever, raising a family or having other areas of focus, and then re-entering the workforce. They call that returnship.
Okay, well.
And companies are becoming more open to that because you know better than any other, your mother, you know that you have certain skills and attributes as a mother that are transferable to the workforce.
Nobody can make a meatball like me.
Nobody could eat a meatball like me.
Yeah, there you go. But no, I mean, you know, the thing is you have to, I'm very organized, you know, and I had to be. I had 4 kids. I have some, you know, I may not be an engineer or a doctor or a dentist, but there's those life skills that you have to have when you're trying to keep 4 kids on track. And I had them spread out, so
Yep.
it was like diapers.
Project manager.
Diapers to dating in my house at one point.
Yeah.
Not to mention cooking and everything else, and getting everybody and making sure everything was, you know, I was supporting.
We call that logistics today.
Right, and I was supporting somebody who was, and I was entertaining clients, vendors, and employees of my ex-husband's company
Yeah.
at the drop of a dime.
Right.
To support
Meeting planner.
to support his stuff.
Right.
And you know what? I like nothing better than to sit down with the client and talk to them about their business and their marketing plan. That's what I did. I loved it.
Yeah. So that the consultant in you know.
Right.
That, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can totally see it. So you know, stick around for Living Atlanta because we're going to take a quick break.
Yes.
And then when we come back, Living Atlanta, and this one is for Kimberly Rose Smith, Hope Jenkins Fettler, and Ashley Anderson. Thanks for liking my Just Steph and Living Atlanta pages, and we'll be back. Okay. All right. No. Hi, Sue Lavolo. How are you, honey? Great to see you Tuesday. Hi, Chrissy Caleris. Hi, Paul. Hi, Jill.
Oh, Paul.
Paul Oliva.
No, this is a guy thing.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey. My daughter did that to me last night. I saw her in the car. I said, "Hey, Louisa."
Oh, that's it. It's up. It's up. That's it. Hey, it's up. Write it down.
So now we're gonna be chatting about what's happening in Atlanta
Yes,
in the ATL.
yes, what's going on, and you know, it's funny because I've been traveling so much, and I've got a big, you know, travel month coming up. I'm taking my son to Lake Tahoe. I get a companion ticket with my Delta Sky Miles every year.
Nice.
So I said, okay, what do you want to do? And so he's 12. He's gonna be 13. He wants to be active. So I said, we're gonna go to Lake Tahoe. I've never been. And we're going to bike and hike and do that kind of stuff because that's what he wants to do. He just
Awesome.
wanted to move, and so going to the city or I've taken him to New York. You know, he wanted to play in Central Park. I said, okay. So we rode bikes around Central Park and we stayed in the hotel so he can watch movies. I was like, oh my God, next time you're going to do that, let's stay in Atlanta. So, but I'm like, it cost me a lot of money. So, but anyway, so I'm, you know, we're going to do that, and then I'm actually going to Phoenix the following weekend to see my uncle on my father's side who's sick, who's from the North End.
Living in Phoenix.
He lives in Phoenix. Well, yeah. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
But he's in Phoenix.
In a special program.
Yeah. So, not really, but almost. But so he's so I'm going to visit him, and then I come back, and then a week and a half later I'm back up to Boston.
And school starts August 1st.
I know.
For your 12-year-old.
Yes. So so it's all that crazy stuff. So.
Oh yeah.
And we've got baseball. He's going to be playing baseball, the weekend. So it's like
Was he on a travel team?
he's doing
now?
a little like a short,
Yeah.
They did a pickup sort of team where they're doing a bunch of couple of tournaments in June.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
not a
Travel
formal,
team. Yep.
It's not a formal program, but they said, hey,
Good.
do you think Maddie would want to play? I asked him. I said, yeah.
And what is he? What position?
He does great outfield, like right field,
Yep.
but he's a lefty, so he can play first base, and he has pitched.
Okay.
So he just wants to play.
And how big is he? He's 12.
Yeah,
so.
he hasn't done the big spurt.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like my son.
Yeah, hasn't done the big spurt, but he's
Yeah.
getting taller.
Yeah.
30 seconds. Okay.
Awesome.
Hi, Patricia Davis. That was a good song, wasn't it?
Oh, it's jukin'.
Fun. That was Stay by Alicia Cara. Okay, so you wanted to know where to go this weekend, and you've been waiting for Living Atlanta. Don't believe it, just watch. Okay, all right, so before you head out this weekend, now it's summer and we're getting into like the barbecues and the patios and all that. Please drink responsibly, drive responsibly, call designated driver, call Uber, call a friend, call a cab. Leave your car at the valet and get it the next day, do something, but don't drink and drive. So, that makes me nervous. If I'm planning on more than, if I'm planning on 2 drinks, it's Uber.
Awesome.
Or Lyft. You could do Lyft. Whatever.
Yes, yeah.
So, what are you doing this weekend? Anything fun?
Well, this weekend, well, I'm going to, we're going to stay local.
Right.
So it's a local stay thing. Saturday, I got to go to my church for some sort of orientation. Vacation Bible School's coming up.
Oh, there you go.
So I encourage all of you to get your youngins to Vacation Bible School because we are in the Bible Belt.
There you go.
And then Sunday we get some baseball stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing this weekend. We have our first tournament this weekend. So
But no gravy or meatballs on Sunday, though.
No, you know what? It's just Maddie and I. My mom's in Boston, and all my big kids are gone. So it's like if I want to do that, I can just do something a little easy.
Yeah.
He's just easy.
Yeah.
I mean, if my kids want to go, want that, it's summer. I'll do more grill stuff.
Yeah.
I sort of kind of will leave that to the fall. It's not like back in the day with my mother. Like she didn't care. She cooked meatballs every Sunday year round. It didn't matter how hot it was.
Right.
We were having,
What Sunday?
I would be down the Cape, and at my aunt's house, and Sunday they were frying meatballs.
Right.
It didn't matter. We were down the Cape.
Yeah, gravy and meatballs.
Gravy and meatballs. That's it. So I haven't decided if I'm doing anything social yet. I'm sort of getting back from Boston, so we'll see. But Deb Bowman is Tuesdays now at the Regent Cocktail Club, and with Jacob Deaton on guitar, and she's 7 to 10. It's supposed to be, I've been there, but it's a great view of the skyline at the Regent Cocktail Club. It's up on top of American Cut in Buckhead, Atlanta. It's great. And she's also back on the stage playing the Balladeer, the world premiere of the Dancing Handkerchief at Theatrical Outfit. Starting today, it's opening night, June 1st through the 18th, and she's going to be back at Serenby on August 3rd through the 27th, playing the role of Fraulein Cost in the musical Cabaret. So that's going to be super fun. DJ Vanessa Hunley is at G's tonight doing karaoke, and she always has Sunday Fun Day at G's karaoke, and it's on Wednesdays she's at Metro Cafe Diner in downtown. Johnny Perrazzo is spending most of his evenings at Whiskey Mistress, and there's always, and you can check this out on my Living Atlanta calendar, music every night at Dixie Tavern, City Winery, Venkman's, and Smith's Old Bar. So you don't have to miss anything with those guys.
Smith's Old Bar right across the street from where I live.
I love it there. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a great place. I've
Yeah.
only been there once, but I had a great time.
Yeah.
It was good. So tonight, Billy Currington is at the Tabernacle at 7 o'clock. This is an all-ages event. Russell Dickerson is the supporting act, and it's all general admission. Tickets are $35 to $55. There's also dueling pianos tonight at Wild Wing Cafe in Dunwoody. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Dueling pianos. And Vino Venue is, this is for all you UGA peeps. They're doing a tasting and pairing, and it's 6:30 to 9:30, and it's at Vino Venue in Dunwoody on Chambly Road, and it says, join fellow UGA alumni as we embark on an educational, delicious wine and food pairing happy hour. So that should be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you're a UGA.
And the business is run by some tech guys. Yes, you know,
Probably.
yeah.
They can do it out. All right, Friday, Candler Park Music and Food Festival is Friday from 4 to 11 and Saturday 12 to 11. All ticket purchases are valid for both days and available online. There's general and VIP. Train is at Lakewood Amphitheater at 7 p.m. Big Sam's Funky Nation and Blair Crimmins and the Hookers at Chambly Summer Concert
Who?
Series. It's the Crimmins and the Hookers. I don't know what's going on there, but it's there. That must be their name. So it's the Chambly Summer Concert Series in downtown Chambly. That's at 6:30. There's the Atlanta Food. Now this is near you. Atlanta Food and Wine Festival Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Piedmont Park.
Yes.
That's not too far from you.
No,
right?
yeah.
So and that's 7:30 to 10, and but it's all weekend long, and there's going to be all kinds of food from around town and around the world or whatever.
Do you have anything from Virginia Highlands in your list?
Let me see. I don't see a list of the. It's talking about Southern Europe, African, South African. It's all different.
Because Summerfest is in Virginia Highlands this weekend. They have concerts and they've got vendors.
See, this is why you're here.
Well, and they've got a road race Saturday morning.
I love that.
So it's in Virginia Highlands.
I like it there. It's so cute.
Oh yeah.
The Delta Series A concert series with Paul Simon at Chastain Park Amphitheater. Band X is at the Wild Wing Cafe and Tap House in Marietta from 10 to 1, and this is a free event. Saturday is Cardio Blast at Body and Design Personal Training. I will be there getting my workout on since I've been eating and drinking it all weekend in Boston. It's also the 12th Annual Wing and Rock Festival at Etowah River Park in Canton, and that's Saturday 12 to 10 p.m., Sunday 12 to 6. Now Sunday is Shoot the Hooch. There's a bunch of friends of mine that are going to be shooting the hooch at Cochrane Souls Nature Trail, and that's 9 to 3, and they're doing all that fun stuff, linking the tubes up and all that. So there's Old School Sundays at Cigar City Club from 5 to 11. There's Old School Sounds with guest DJs, and they have a new summer menu. That's in Sandy Springs. Legacy Music is at Johnny's Hideaway. It's 8:30 and it's a $5 cover. Now coming up next Tuesday at the Barrel House. It's downtown Midtown area. It's 5:30 to 8:30. It's hosted by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. There's a happy hour benefiting the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and it's a $10 suggested donation, and they're going to have specials, shots, and all of that stuff. So
Awesome.
yeah, and I'm going to try to go to this. My friend is running it, and it's a great cause. So and there'll be more. That's on Facebook as well. Everything's on Facebook.
And if you sit at home, say there's nothing to do, you're bored.
No
You just
kidding.
read
And no kidding. There's so much stuff. And you
Yeah.
know what? There's more than this is on my calendar, my Living Atlanta calendar, juststeph.com, and you go to the Living Atlanta calendar tab, and everything is there. I mean, there's everything that you need to know, like there's a drink special at Davio's or whatever, half price wine. All of that is there on the calendar. I don't have enough time. We don't. If we could be here till next week, and we still wouldn't have enough time.
Oh, it's amazing.
There's so much going on in Atlanta, and I'm telling you, there's so much going on. There's always something to do, and there's something for everybody. And there's so much going on for Second Lifers, and family stuff as well.
Yeah.
And looking ahead, on the 25th of June is a special wine dinner at New York Prime. And if you get online, it's newyorkprime.com, I believe, or it'll be on Facebook as well. It's usually a really nice price, like maybe like $89, and you get like a 3-course meal and wine pairing. I mean, the wine alone costs that much. So this is a great way to enjoy like it's like a #1 steakhouse in Atlanta, you know, and have a great time. And New York Prime is always a lot of fun. My friend Bobby Donlan's from Boston. He's from Abington.
Awesome.
He's the owner.
Huh.
And, you know, whatever. Managing
Why doesn't he
partner.
call it Boston
Prime? Because I think he
Hello?
joined.
Hello?
I think he joined. He was actually originally at Bones, and so he made the move over there. But I think it was already established. So, but that's it. So that's what's going on, and
Isn't
you
it
can
great?
find out. Yeah, you can find out more on my website, and there's so much happening.
What's
and
your
I've
website again?
It's juststeph.com. So what about yours?
Whatareyourgifts.com.
There you go. So that's how you find out what you have suggestions for how to find out your strengths
Yes.
and your gifts
Yes.
on your website.
Or even how to deal with conflict.
There you go. Just it's a baseball bat in Boston. So all right. So I got a big shout out to my Boston birthdays: Maria Landy, my mom's girlfriend; Daniel Duclos and Leanne Pate, my cousin; and Angela Nunes. Happy birthday, guys. So next week, now this is June. June is Finding Your Strengths and Making a Living at What You Love month. Next week I have Katie Carpela, and we're going to talk about getting clarity.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah.
DK.
But you know what's fun for all you Boston peeps? On the 15th, I have Steve DiFilippo of Davio's. And we're going to talk about going after your dream.
Awesome.
So it's exciting. So check me out on Facebook, Twitter, at Steph Palermo, YouTube, Instagram, Just Steph1, all that. I'm on Snapchat, I don't know. That's it, I'm everywhere. So know I love you all, wishing you love, balance, and peace. Ciao, ciao, baby. Will you come back?
Yes.
Yay! All right. Not bad. All right, kids.
That's good.
Yay, bye. There you go. Yay, just lost it.
Oh.
There you go. I knew it was going to happen.